Welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, where hunters new and old come to learn and find inspiration from stories of hunts gone by. Everyone is welcome to enjoy the outdoor way of life, and there is no better time to start than right now. So let's head into the great outdoors with your host, Dylan Ray.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us today on Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast. I am joined by Warren and David Holder from Raised Hunting. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing great. Yourself?
We're doing good.
I am absolutely better than I deserve. I know that. Now first of the year, new hunting opportunities, looking at the calendar for the year and getting excited for what's to come. I'm excited to hear what you guys have coming for the year. But before we dive in, give us a quick introduction to yourselves and Raised Hunting and what all you guys do there.
Go ahead. Yeah, he's going to make me go first. Raised Hunting, this is our 8th year that we've been producing the television show for the Outdoor Channel. On top of that, we have Raised Outdoors, our app. We have Raised a Full Draw, which is our nonprofit campsite. And so it really has become, it's a family-owned and operated company that when Karen and I first started discussing this, we wanted to build something that could tell the stories of what it's like to raise your kids, hence the name, in the hunting lifestyle. And we wanted something that would reach across not just the hunting demographics, but reach all kinds of people. And hence the name and the whole layout of Raised Hunting has become just that. And we're trying to tell those stories that most people have dealt with somewhere in life. And even if they haven't dealt with it in a hunting situation, you might have a kid that's into football or ballet or piano. Everyone relates the way they teach their kids and the way they raise their kids into the things that they do. So that would be my synopsis.
Awesome, man. Now, how long have you guys been doing Raised at Full Draw?
18 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been longer than we've had the television show. Now, it wasn't always under Raised at Full Draw. Raised at Full Draw was born the year after, so 7 years as Raised at Full Draw. But we've been holding camps like this where we take 50 kids, keep them for 4 days, 3 nights in multiple different states now, all across the U.S. For 7 years now.
That is awesome, man. So you guys have ran through a lot of kids.
Oh, thousands.
Yep.
Some of them more memorable than other ones.
What's your biggest, I don't want to say success story, but what's your biggest, like, this kid turned into something special in the outdoors?
I got a couple that come to mind right away. I don't know if Warren has.
Let's see if they're the same.
Well, one would be Clayton. We got a young man that came back last 2 years, has been an instructor now for us that we met before we were Raised at Full Draw, that Clayton is now becoming a heart surgeon.
Wow. And
he will flat tell you that a lot of, the things, we didn't teach him heart surgery, especially not on a deer when we, gutted one or something, but he just felt like that we had a lot of growing up information in our that's not something that we don't like. It's not that we're publicizing that we are teaching kids more than just hunting while they're there, but he definitely would tell you that he got a lot more out of it than just a hunting camp. So he's awesome. One of the big ones.
I would think Clayton's definitely one, and then there's a young man named Adam. Mm-hmm. That would be one of mine. And the biggest thing with Adam was not necessarily what he turned into as a hunter, but more so what he became as a person. His first year at camp, he was one of those kids where, it didn't matter what you could have waved the $100 bill in front of his face and you couldn't get him to talk. He was just a really, really shy kid. And was it that year that he won or came in second in the water shoot?
Second year.
We have something that we call the water shoot, which is basically 2 Ziploc bags full of water on a pendulum. And so whoever hits the bag and empties their bag first wins. But we don't let them use their bows. They use a Genesis bow, or just a kid's bow and arrows. So, really, it's kind of a crapshoot. And he won it the second year, either won it or came in second. And just the confidence that it gave him was unbelievable. And he ended up, from that point on, he became a team leader and really, really came out of his shell. And I would say that experience alone really helped that kid turn into a man.
That's awesome, man. Now, how long have you guys been with Bear?
I think we
were just discussing that. We think it's 6 or 7 years. I think maybe this will be the 6th season that we'll have on air, and I think we've actually been working with them for 7.
The Arena 34 is the first one that I shot with Bear.
Well, the first one I shot was the Bear Whitetail 2, and that was long before we had a TV show.
Now, with that Bear Whitetail 2 being one of your first bows, does the new Whitetail this year get you excited?
Oh, man. I mean, I think once the EKO or Echo, however you want to say it, hit the market, which I guess was last year, I've always been a Bear believer. I've always believed in the brand. I've always believed in the name. I've always believed in the company because it just stands for way more than just a bow to shoot. But making some of the changes they've made in the last couple of years, holy cow. I mean, and Warren's probably one of the biggest skeptics when it comes to, he's a technical, when it comes to archery, he's the technical guru that wants it all perfect. And it certainly seems like they've listened to some of his suggestions or other people given the same kinds. And I mean, all the bows, but I would tell you that the Redemption, is kind of a whole new place of its own. Not that the Whitetail Legend isn't a great bow, but everyone has their preference. So,
yeah, the Redemption is a bow that flat out performs. I mean, no question, no two bones about it. It flat out performs. And I say this all the time, but you had the status in hand, and you just think to yourself, a great bow, how on God's green earth are they going to make it any better? And then the Redemption comes out, and it's got a better draw cycle. It's more dead in the hand. It's quieter. It's just a better bow to shoot. And now that you have the Redemption in hand, it's like, all right, there's no way they're topping it for 2022. So I just can't wait to see what they come out with again, because it seems like they always find some way to make it better. Which is exciting for us as archers, something to look forward to for sure. But now, with you guys being so deeply involved in children and being a family-owned and operated business with not only, David, you being involved in your wife and your boys, but pouring into children in the outdoors, does Bear's family philosophy play a huge role in you guys shooting and being with Bear?
I think that was probably one of the initial reasons that we formed a partnership, really, is because it was more, it wasn't so much about necessarily the bows or the technology that Bear was coming out with, but more of the roots and what we both believed in.
It's funny, Dylan, the first year, you come out with a new television show like we did. No one knew who we were. And so no one's going to give us the time of day, including any kind of, we didn't have an archery or a bow sponsor, if you would. And so after that first year, we kind of, raised hunting really we made a pretty significant impact that first year. And by doing so, we had the opportunity to shoot a couple different brands that we could have gone in any direction. And I can tell you, it wasn't a hard sell to the family, and it definitely wasn't a hard sell to me the moment that, and I'll give David Blanton from Realtree, he's the guy that walked us down to the Bear booth and said, the two of you guys need to meet. And that's where the whole, partnership was born, really. And it just has grown from there. We've seen some turnover in Bear and things like that, but Alec Wyman now that's in there just seems like he's fantastic, and he understands the vision of raised hunting. And yes, long answer to a very short question. The answer is 100% yes. This company is more than just an archery or a bow providing company.
Yeah, it absolutely is, man. And just having spent a week with Alec, the guy lives and breathes making bear archery better, which I love. I love that we have a marketing director that is passionate about not only the products and marketing the products, but the company as a whole. And man, I'm incredibly excited for the years to come with bear archery, because I think that big things are coming, and not just in products, but as a company, I think big things are coming. And so I'm excited to not only get to watch it and be a part of it, but man, from the bottom of my heart, I'm excited that you guys are on board for it. I love what you guys do. I love the mission. I love the mentality of family, and I love the mentality of getting kids involved. And it's an awesome thing to have you guys on board, being a company and a TV show that is so passionate about family, and the values line up perfectly. And so to have you guys, and to know that you guys are on board with us, pushing us in the same direction we need to go, is it's an incredible thing, man.
Yep. The good Lord works that way, you know. We never know where that's going to come from.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what are you guys' plans for 2021? Got any big plans?
Work and hunt.
No, the biggest one probably that I'll kind of let the cat out of the bag is, in only 4 weeks, we head to New Mexico. Karen is going to try to shoot a mountain lion with her bow. And this has been probably at least 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe longer than that. I don't know. As long as I've known her, she's been talking about this. And this is the first time that we're ever going to actually try. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool deal. So we're going to start off that. Then when we get back from there, we're big into turkey hunting, love turkey hunting. And so I have some plans to head out to South Dakota, do some turkey hunting. I'm guessing that one or two or the boys and some of the camera guys will follow along, as they always do. And then we'll do some turkey hunting here, shed season. Yeah,
Dad's already picking up. He's cherry picking before I can go. He's taking all the big sheds. We found a big one Saturday.
Yeah, it's either that or run it over. You don't want me to run over the shed, so.
Yeah. Now, this is a kind of a cool story. So me and Alec were in South Texas just last week, and I guess it would have been a couple weeks ago now. But and Alec shot a whitetail, and it shed both of its antlers after he shot it, before it fell. And so they're walking the blood trail, and the outfitter was like, "Oh, look, a shed," picked it up, and 20 yards later, it's like, "Hey, another shed. Oh, it's a matching set." And we get up to the deer. They get up to the deer. I wasn't with them. They get up to the deer, and Alex says, "Where's its antlers?" And the guide says, "I think I've got them right here." And so it was kind of a funny deal that it shed both of its antlers before it ever hit the ground. But yeah, just a cool hunt.
Yeah, he's lucky finding them before you get there. Otherwise, you'd have been freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. He would have been like, "I promise I didn't shoot a doe, man."
Yeah.
No, but it was a cool story, man. But what else you got planned? That's a big hunt. Are all of you guys going on the mountain lion, or just your wife?
No, just Karen and I. And then I'm sure we haven't solidified everything. Got to wait for tags to come back for any Western elk hunts and stuff. We got an antelope hunt that we always do in August. And then we might be going on a mule deer hunt. We probably are, just not sure which one yet.
Yeah.
So
where do you guys antelope hunt at?
In Wyoming, just south of Gillette.
Awesome, man.
Yes.
Now, if I remember, you guys are pretty passionate about antelope, right?
Oh boy, we love our antelope hunting. Love it, eating antelope mainly. So you got to go every year so you can eat them.
Yeah. No kidding, man. Is antelope your favorite wild game?
It is mine. I don't know if it is Warren's.
Not mine. I'd have to say probably moose is some of the best I've ever had, but that's been from other people. The best, in my opinion, is the best that I can have consistently is elk. I like antelope, but not to the extent that I like elk.
Yeah. Now, with 2021 being such an, at this point in the game, still an in question year. We don't know how all this COVID stuff's going to blow over. We don't know, what state our nation will be in at the time. Does that alter or change your hunting plans, or are you guys just gung ho about it no matter what?
I think it makes us look forward to them more.
Getting away, unplugging, and recharging the batteries. I understand that.
The only thing that it can change is how you get there, and things like that. And then too, we've run into situations. Last year, we went on a Osceola turkey hunt, and we had to drive. We could not. There was no option to fly at that time. So you got to be willing to. You don't want to lock things in too much. So it affects us some, not as much as others, for sure.
I had a conversation with a guy, and he's much older and really reaching the end of being able to travel and do a lot of stuff. And I said, man, well, how did 2020 affect your hunting? He said, well, it didn't, dude. I spent a month in Africa. I spent a month in wherever. He's named like 4 countries. And I'm like, oh, okay, fantastic. And he said, it wasn't slowing me down at all. And I'm like, well, good for you, my friend.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I think when you get out in the woods, it's just nice to be away from it. And it's one of those times where you don't have to worry about and think about it and see all that stuff. It reminds you how simple things can be.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was down in South Texas, like I said, and all the rumors going around about martial law and everything. And one of the guys that was down there hunting with us was constantly on his phone updating and saying all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, really, I don't want to hear about it, man. I just want to hunt. Don't want to worry about what's going on. Don't want to worry. I want to unplug. I don't want to hear social media. I don't want to hear all this stuff. I just want to hunt, man. And that's part of the beauty of being out there, like you said, is just taking your mind off everything else. And for that moment, it's just you and the animals.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Now, what are you guys shooting for 2021 this year?
We're both shooting the Redemption.
The Redemption.
Who got which one? Because the first one that was sent was supposed to be mine, but someone took it out of the box and proceeded to set it up. But I've now got mine dialed in, so I hope Alec listens to this so that he'll know that both of them are in. Karen's shooting the Divergent, and I was just working with her yesterday with that. Like I said, getting ready for this cat hunt, and I was extremely impressed with not only her shooting, she's always shot well, but that bow was, we went from, she started at like 48 pounds. We were fiddling with the poundage a little bit, and she was shooting 52 in a few minutes with no issues. And man, I keep telling her, I wish I could keep my bow as quiet as hers is. It just shoots.
Those Divergents shoot really nice.
It does really good.
Dude, the Divergent is one of the, for a price point bow, one of the greatest performing bows you could get. And that's, that's what I've heard from a lot of people is with this 2021 lineup, the amount of draw weight they can pull that they haven't been able to before. Christy Titus, a couple episodes back, shared with us that she's pulling 61 pounds on the Redemption, which she's never been able to pull that much before. And that's just a testament as to how smooth these bows draw. There's no big load up in them. There's no big hump or valley or you got to get over. It's just a smooth drawing bow. And for these women to be able to pull more weight than they've ever pulled before is a big deal.
Absolutely.
100%. I mean, there's a lot of guys now, there's no reason to go to the end of the spectrum anymore. I grew up in that era where they were still making 80-pound bows and every guy you knew was trying to get there, but now 70's pretty much the max. And a lot of guys have backed off of that. There's just no need. The bows have become so efficient and and Bear has just like laid theirs right in the middle of that where, like you said, dead in the hand and smooth draw cycles and increased draw let-offs and things like that, and making them more. What I love, I think, about all of them is that they've really gotten easy to work on, where that person that is not super knowledgeable and has to depend on a pro shop might be able to do some minor things to their bow and not worry about killing themselves or hurting their bow in any way. It's really been a huge help.
Yeah, and that's we were shooting the legit the other day, and within 5 minutes, we had it set to draw weight and draw length for a different guy, and they'd shoot it a few arrows, and 5 minutes later, somebody else was shooting it, and it's just an awesome thing, especially if we go back to the family aspect and everybody in the family being able to shoot a bow. It's just an awesome thing that in 5 minutes you can have a new shooter set up ready to go, and my kids can shoot this bow, and then I can adjust it and go out and be ready to hunt with it. It's incredible, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because like I said, I remember the days when, well, Karen will, if she was sitting here, she would tell you about the days when she would try to shoot my hand-me-down bows, and there's no way, I mean, draw lengths were too long. If you wanted something else, you had to order modules and change them out. You had to put things in a press to do that. It's just been in that aspect, I believe that's been a great help for archery. And I think that's a testament to Fred Bear himself. I mean, because he's the first one that gave us some kind of system to be able to draw a bow easier than what, the traditional stuff was. And so now seeing that his thought process is still being carried on is huge.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that's one of the most beautiful parts about it all. And it's one of those things that just kind of pulls on your heartstrings if you'll actually stop and think about it, and think about Fred Bear and the legacy that he lived, and how Bear Archery continues to carry that on and continues to, live the Fred Bear way. What does that mean to you guys? What does the Fred Bear way mean to you guys, and being a part of the Fred Bear way?
I think personally to me, it means carrying on not only the tradition of bow hunting, but the ethics and the values that it carries with it. So, instilling in the next generation what it means to respect the animals, what it means to be a bow hunter, trying to get as close as you can, make the most ethical shots that you can, and doing all that out of respect for the environment, for animals, and for the ability to be out there and enjoying it. So I think it's, making sure that you passing it on in a way that it's going to preserve it for as many generations to come.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with you, man. And, if there's one man, and, obviously I never had the pleasure of meeting or knowing him. He passed away before I was alive, but after reading so many articles and seeing his passion and his desire to see archery available for everyone, I think it just speaks volumes for a company to carry that on. And it's, sometimes it's easy to neglect the beginner. Sometimes it's easy to look straight to the guy who's going to purchase a $999 bow. And it's oftentimes the beginner is overlooked. And so to see a company who's willing to carry on and pick up that flag, that archery is for everyone and it needs to be available for everyone, is a beautiful thing.
Agreed. I mean, that's, see, for me, I guess it's a little more personal on that side. I never met Fred Bear myself, but I saw a guy who lived to love hunting. And you could hear that when you heard him speak about it. And I hope that we're doing any kind of justice to what he started, just because of the legacy that he did leave and what he was after and what he wanted to accomplish. Because it's not like it's something that stops. You don't get to a certain point and go, okay, we're there. It's something, I pray that Warren and Easton and other kids their age, their kids, I pray that someone will continue to pick up that flag and keep carrying it. And I just hope that someday someone will comment about David Holder and say, hey, he was in that same, not in the same ballpark, but he had the same mentality of Fred Bear. And that's what I hope that we're all striving for, something like that, something to give back rather than to see what we can take away before we leave.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now, before we move on, I do want to give a quick thank you to our friends over at Wise Eye Technology. They make cellular trail cameras that have really changed the way I hunt. They have game recognition technology, so I don't have to look through thousands of pictures of coons and does and squirrels and grass blowing, but I get pictures of the bucks that I want to see, and it recognizes bucks and places them into certain folders. So if I want to see what time a certain buck is showing up, or how wind and weather is affecting a certain buck and its movement, I can go to that buck's folder and see when it's coming in and when it's moving, and just fantastic technology put into Wise Eye Technology's cameras. So go check out Wise Eye for any of your cellular camera needs. because they have changed the way that we scout and changed the way that we prepare to hunt an animal. Now, what are your guys' setups outside of bows? So run me through your bow setup: sights, stabilizers, rest, quivers. How are you guys set up to hunt this year?
I have so I got the Redemption, and then I'm using the Trophy Ridge React Pro 5. I also have one of the 1 pins. And sometimes when I'm feeling froggy in the summer, I'll switch that out and put that 1 pin on there, so I can shoot out to 100 yards, 110, whatever. And then I have the Hitman kit on there. I believe mine is it, I think the 6 and the 8 on the front bar and the side. And then obviously the Trophy Ridge Light 1 quiver. That's pretty slick. And then arrows, I'm shooting the Gold Tip Pierce Platinums with an NAP kill zone. So far, it's treated me pretty good.
Now that, before we get into yours, David, that light lock quiver, let me talk about that for a minute. That light lock quiver is one of the greatest quivers I believe ever made. I used to be big on tight spots, and they make a great quiver. But the light lock functions just like a tight spot. I can get it in as close to my riser as I want. It's light, but I can get it as close into my riser as I want. And it's got more features built into it with a light in the hood and a light to see where I'm going. I mean, absolutely fantastic. It's eliminated the need for me to carry a flashlight into my stands in the morning or walking out of the stands at night. It's eliminated one thing that I have to carry with me. And that's just an awesome thing, man. That quiver, I can't shoot with it off. I mean, I shoot better with it on. It's just a fantastic quiver, and it completes the setup. And I absolutely am head over heels for that quiver. David, what are you shooting?
Right now, I'm still shooting the Status, but making the switch to the Redemption here. Now I'm shooting the React Trio, only because I'm not a long distance shooter, even practice wise. Occasionally I may shoot out to 50, 60 yards when I'm practicing, but everything that we pretty much hunt is 40 yards and under. Now I would tell anyone that I'm probably going to go back to the 5-pin React because I forget that I switched it. So I go down there, I have it set for 60 yards, and then I come back and I shoot 30 and I shoot 8 inches or 10 inches high. And so I'm like, okay, I don't like that. But for that guy that wants that, versatility, like what Warren was talking about, he'll switch to go to the 1 pin when he wants to shoot further. The React 3 or the React Trio gives you the whole thing. You got 2 fixed pins, and then your third one is the one that changes for you, so to speak. And then I'm shooting the same quiver, but I like the quiver for the other side of it. And that is I shoot, and Warren does too, we shoot expandables most of the time. And being able to put your expandable broadhead back in a quiver in the dark in a tree and not catch it on something and have it open up or something like that. Being able to click on a light real quick, see where it goes, slide it up in there. And then I can't tell you how many times we've used that light to be able to see us taking cameras apart or whatever in the tree. So I agree. Just the technology is super. And then I do not shoot the entire kit. Like I'm shooting the Hitman, but I only shoot a 6-inch on the front, just because they haven't talked me into the fact that I need to be doing all this other stuff. So I'm somewhat a little bit less on the equipment side than what some of the family is, but that's okay. I like the simplicity a little bit.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love the React Trio. I've been a multi-pin slider for a long time, and I took everything I liked from all of the other 3-pin sliders in the industry, and I quickly realized this Trophy Ridge has what I like about every one of them, and it doesn't have some of the things I don't like about the others. And so, as far as multi-pin sliders go, the React Trio is a fantastic sight, and I love it. And I actually took the head off of a single React 1 Pro dovetail. I took the head off that, and I put a 3-pin head on that body, and so I have the React Trio head on a dovetail. So it's come to be the best of both worlds for me. Now, I've always been a sidebar guy. I've ran sidebars now for however many years. And this year I just thought to myself, I want to make this bow as simple as I can. I just want to get back to the simplicity of bow hunting. And so not running a sidebar, and I'm not even running a drop away. This year, for the first time in like 10 years, I went back to a whisker biscuit, and I've been so incredibly pleased with the whisker biscuit. I took it in to get it set up, and some of the guys were kind of looking at me like I had four eyes when I handed them a whisker biscuit to put on it. And they talked to me about tuning issues, and I said, just throw it on there. And he walked back out, and he said, he was almost shocked. He said, well, it shot a bullet hole first time and through the paper. And I'm like, okay, thank you, sir. And went out and had that bow sighted in out to 100 yards in like 20 minutes, and shot a deer with it 2 nights later. So the whisker biscuit for me, I don't know that I'll ever switch back to a drop away, because it's just so simple, to the point, sweet, flawless, and it's working well for me.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's not until you start to really want to get that, how exact or how accurate do we want to be, or do you need to be? And if you're not hunting very far, you're not a target shooter shooting 80, 100 yards, you don't need to be that accurate. And that's where I think that dropaways can be a difference maker. I'm not saying that you can't shoot a whisker biscuit 100 yards. You probably can, but can you hold the same group that someone with a dropaway can? Maybe not. Maybe you can, but my point is that there's an option for everyone. And the whisker biscuit, though, that's honestly, I started with one years and years ago. And you just can't get any more simple than that. You really can't, so.
You mentioned David Blanton, and he's the guy that got me back on the whisker biscuit. Like I said, I shot dropaways for about 10 years, and I was having a conversation with David, and he said, go to a whisker biscuit, and if you don't like it, I'll buy you a dropaway. And so I said, well, hey, you've killed more big bucks than I could ever dream of, so better listen to you. And I threw the whisker biscuit on. I've been incredibly pleased, man. And I'm much like Warren, probably. I overthink everything. I put a lot of thought into what goes on my bow, into the technology on my bow, into how it's being used, and to tuning it and making sure everything's perfect. And I had some concerns, and I don't even remember who it was, but it was like a world-class top shooter. And they said, listen, even I am not good enough to recognize the difference in a whisker biscuit and a drop away. I can't. He said a drop away by nature is going to be more accurate, but I myself am not a good enough shooter to notice any difference. And sure enough, man, I put it on, and I haven't noticed anything out to 100 to where I'm like, man, I probably should have went back to a drop away. I haven't noticed that yet. So I've been really pleased with it. And again, the simplicity that it offers, and just the flawlessness that it offers, I've been impressed with it. So I'm happy with it. What are you guys' highlights from 2020? What's the biggest highlight that stands out for you in 2020?
Ooh, I'll let Warren start, because I don't want to steal his thunder.
What do you think?
Oh no, I know where I'm going.
I think for me, it would definitely had to been my New Mexico elk. That was I'd never hunted New Mexico before. Went to New Mexico and had one camera guy down there, and Dad was able to come down for 3 days, but he wasn't able to stay the whole time. And it was the first couple days were, I want to say they were a little rough, but I really can't say that because I passed a pretty decent bull on the first day. But it was an awesome hunt. I had my heart broken by about a 350 bull, and then that Dad called in for me, and then about a 300, and then about another 300, and then he had to fly home that night. That was all in one evening. And then the next morning, myself and Eli, one of our camera guys, went back to the same spot, and I killed a 5x5 bull. So that to me was really cool. I wish Dad could have been there, but at the same time, it was cool. That was the very first elk that I've ever killed on my own, as far as called it in for myself and did everything strictly on my own, no call or anything. So that was kind of a bittersweet hunt, but it was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, and a gorgeous bull it was, my friend. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that one was up there. I mean, and not so much the one he shot. I wasn't there for that, but the bull that we called in, 350 bull is not huge to some people, but I can tell you it would have been on any of our walls. And to have him come in like he did, Warren's at full draw. Again, this speaks to not to plug Bear, but Warren was at full draw for over a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah, the first time.
When this big bull comes in, and there's three of us there, cameraman, I'm calling, and Warren's there. And I mean, it was one of those moments I'm like, this is going to happen, and he's going to end up with a bigger bull than I have on the wall, because at the time I believed it was that big. And so that was like, I was like, it doesn't get any better than this. However, back in the spring, I had finished my first Grand Slam by killing a turkey, killing a Osceola, but then Karen actually killed a turkey with her bow, and we did it with no decoys, no nothing. The turkeys get here really tough. And it was one of those things where her and I talked about it and talked about what we were going to do that afternoon. And I said, let's try this. And it worked. She shot a turkey at 8 yards and just made a perfect shot. It didn't go anywhere. We had our dog with us in the blind, which was the first time we'd ever taken him hunting. And so all that was huge. But then I topped mine off by killing a drop tine whitetail this year, a deer that we knew was base drop, as an 8-inch drop tine. And so 2020 was good to us. So, it was all good, because there's more in there than that. Those are just some of the highlight ones.
That's awesome, man. Absolutely incredible. Now, one thing I like to ask, Fred was big on field notes and making himself a better hunter and sharing those to make other people better hunters. What's one field note that you guys have taken over the years that I can put in my back pocket and make myself a better hunter with?
Oh, well, we have an app that has got about 700 of those.
Well, pick two of your favorites and share them with us.
On a species?
Anything, man.
Anything?
It can be a general hunting tip. It could be an elk hunting specific tip. It could be a turkey hunting specific tip, antelope hunting specific tip, whatever. Just, something to where if I'm ever, in Colorado and having trouble getting it done, I can look back and think, well, wait a second. Warren told me to try this, or Warren gave me this piece of advice, or maybe I should apply this to my hunt, and just something I can take and make myself a better sportsman with.
I know the one you should talk about, because you're the one that made the changes in that stance between a ladder and a hang-on.
Yeah, personally, I'm not a big fan of ladder stands, and my reasoning is we have a stand it's basically just a highway. There's just a ton of deer that go through this spot. And what we started having happening is these deer were not picking us off, but they would be coming through here. These does would be walking by, and they would see the ladder. And then when they'd see the ladder stand, they would just follow it up, and they would see a blob in that tree. And, it's just kind of like photography. They always teach you, you want lines going to your subject when you're videoing or taking a picture of something, because your eyes will naturally follow there. Well, a deer does the same thing on stands like that. The other issue we had with some of them is you couldn't get next to the tree. And so when that would happen, we have a picture of side by side being out from the tree, 1.5 feet, and your body, standing next to the tree, like where you're not silhouetted. And I believe that going almost solely hang-ons has been one of the best things that I've done as far as not getting busted by deer, because it gives you the ability to stay so close to the tree, and it gives you the ability, and it takes away the eyes of the deer, as far as they're really going to have to look for you. They're going to have to catch you moving or something in that nature to pick you off, where I truly believe that that a ladder stand will give you out. And so why Dad tells me to talk about that is because after I got picked off a couple times, I switched all of them, all the ones that I had access to hang-ons, and I won't put up a ladder stand. So he has to battle me sometimes about the stands that we have left.
Awesome, man.
I think, Dylan, if I had to pick one, it's don't let the weather dictate what you're doing. And what I do and don't mean. What I do mean is, I know so many people that think tomorrow is going to be the perfect weather. That's the day I should be hunting. The barometer is going to be right. The moon is right. There's no wind, or there's less wind or more wind. All those factors play a part in your hunt. Learn how to adapt with what you're dealing with, or you're going to miss the best chance. Because every day that you don't go is a day you're guaranteed not to kill what you're after.
Yeah. Now, touch on barometer real quick. What do you look for in that barometer reading to be that quote unquote perfect barometer?
I mean, I think what I'm looking for is steady. I love it when it moderates or it starts to rise. I'm not a fan of significant weather coming in. I know there's people out there that will fight me tooth and nail on that, but I'm a much bigger fan. I've seen much more success after that front has come through. So low pressure comes in and we see, a storm system of some sort. People love, I want to be right in front of it. The deer all on their feet. They know it's coming, or turkeys or whatever. And I don't see that as much as I see a high pressure system moving back in and taking over. And when that moves out, and I'm talking, in my personal opinion, that's minutes. I've seen it go from crappy weather here, raining. I've seen this in multiple states. It's just really, really nasty. And then that barometer starts to rise again because we're pushing that out of there. And if you could be in a stand 5 minutes after it quit raining, well, especially if it's been a big storm where the barometer's dropped to, whatever kind of low and stayed there for a couple days, man, those deer come off their feet. And we've seen it with elk as well. So I've not just seen it in one species, but it just seems like it really makes a difference. So that would be my part on the barometer.
And it goes right back to what you just said. It goes exactly back to what you just said of not letting the weather dictate being out there or not. Because, there are some people who say when it's dropping, go, when it's steady, go, when it's raising, go. So I think it's an important thing to note and it's an important thing to look at, but it shouldn't just completely dictate my hunt and saying, oh, man, it's raising, I'm not even going today, or it's lower, I'm not even going today, So it's an important thing to note, and it's an important thing to look at, but it shouldn't completely dictate your hunt. I had a friend last week who was supposed to go to northern Missouri and hunt, and he said, he called me, he said, well, my hunt got canceled. I said, why? He said, the guy I was going hunting with just thought it was too warm, too hot. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it might be a little warmer, but it doesn't mean that deer is not going to move. So you're missing a whole week of hunting just because it's a little warm. And so that's a good tip, man, because a lot of times guys stay in and just say, oh, it's raining. My deer don't move when it's raining. Well, how do you know, unless you're out there? So that's a good tip, man.
No, he's probably right. They don't move because he's never been there to see them. So, and it's just one of those things. And it's not foolproof. Nothing is. You could have the worst barometer. You could have the worst system in front of you. You could have everything wrong, but the right doe walks underneath your stand and drags the biggest buck of your life right by you. And if you're not there, you're not going to kill it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I would add to that is that I think that a lot of times as hunters, we're talking about overthinking our equipment. I think this day and age with all the technology and everything that a lot of times we just overthink deer hunting. And I know that I have been guilty on it a lot, but sometimes, it really isn't, it doesn't need to be that complicated. Go where they're going to be in the morning and be where they're going to go and feed in the afternoon and try not to pressure them. And a lot of it is really gets pretty simple. If it's getting hot, well, then you probably need to bank on trying to capitalize in that first hour or being closer to a water source. You got to push in a little bit further because he's probably not going to get up as early. A lot of it is a lot more simple, I think, than we make it out to be sometimes.
Yeah, it absolutely is, man. And it goes back to what you just said, that doe can cruise by and bring him by at any time. And, there's a lot of things in life that dictate what I do, but my wife's the number one. And it's the same with them deer, man. It could be a little too warm, but if that doe's in the moment and she's ready and primed, that buck's going to do what she wants him to do. So, absolutely, man. I 100% agree with you that we shouldn't always let the weather and what nature is doing be our major deciding factor on whether we're hunting or not. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. I am excited to have you guys on board. What have you guys seen change? I got one more question for you. You're going on 7 years. You've been with us 6 years. What have you guys seen change in those 7 years, in those 6 years that has excited you about bear archery?
Oh, I think that the bows themselves have made a huge jump. I think I loved my arena, but the redemption in comparison is not even on the same plane. And so I've been really, really excited to see the advancements and the quality that Bear continues to produce.
I 100% agree with you, man. 100%. The Arena 30 was the last bow that I shot before stepping away from Bear for a little while. And then when I got the Kuma back in my hands, it was like night and day difference between just even those two bows. And now you look at the Redemption and the Kuma, and it's night and day difference. And yeah, they have made some huge strides in the production of their bows.
And I think for me, maybe I'm a little older and I look at things a little bit differently, has been not so much change. And what I mean by that is, boy, we've tackled some of the hardest years we've seen as far as sales, and archery has gone down and it's gone up, and Bear has gone through some different people in different positions, and yet they have stayed the course. The mission has stayed the same. And Alec Wyman, and we're not plugging Alec, but I'm just telling you that in the few months that I have known Alec now, I believe like they have found kind of and I'm not a fan of Bill Belichick or Tom Brady, but they found that type of winner in him.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of him, and I'm a huge fan of Bear finding him. So that's where I guess I'm coming from, Dylan, is that I've seen other companies that have made major changes and then they've had to go back and rescind what they did. And Bear has not done that. They've stayed the course the whole way. And so that's been excellent.
I 100% agree with you, man. And that is why a company like Bear Archery can get away with a slogan like the Fred Bear Way. Because throughout the years, over all the changes, over all the things in the industry that have gone on, they've stayed the course. They've stayed true to who they are. They've stayed true to the Fred Bear Way. And listen, I'm not going to tell Alec that we talked about him because I want to see if he listens to the podcast. And I'll know if he did or not, because he'll call and say, hey, man, you guys didn't have to say those nice things about me. But that is what I went back to. Just going back to say that, man, is they found a guy who lives and breathes to make Bear Archery better. And I, for one, am incredibly excited to see what happens. But I am incredibly excited to have you guys on board for it. I'm incredibly excited that you guys are a part of the Fred Bear Way and that you guys are out there living and breathing life the Fred Bear Way.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for coming on, gentlemen. Make sure and go check out our giveaway. We have a giveaway going on right now. So if you didn't catch that in the last episode, all the details on that, you can win a free hunt, free 2021 redemption, and all of your expenses paid by our friends over at Pope & Young and American Hunt. So make sure, if you didn't hear all the details about the giveaway, go back to last week's episode and listen to it, or go check out Bear Archery's social media and find that giveaway so you can get entered to win. Guys, thanks for listening. You guys have a great week.